We're back on Aggie Sports Overtime, and we leave the SEC West for a trip to Gainesville in the SEC East. Now, Skyping in from Gainesville is co-host of Florida Sports Talk, Alligator Sports beat writer and college football blogger Morgan Moriarty. Morgan, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Now, covering the Florida Gators in 2013 was no easy task. 7 straight losses to end the year, a 4-8 record, injuries across the board. Oh yeah, and then Florida's biggest in-state rival, Florida State, wins the national title. What's the feeling in Gainesville surrounding the Gators right now?
Well, the feeling is actually pretty positive, and a lot of that has to do with Muschamp's hiring of offensive coordinator Kurt Roper from Duke in the offseason. You look at what he was able to do. He led that offense. Duke won 10 games last season, made it to an ACC championship game. You pair that with Florida getting their quarterback Jeff Driscoll back healthy. This is a scheme that's going to fit him a lot better than the ones that he's done in the past. So despite 4 wins, Florida is going to be Florida. The fan base is going to be excited, but no question, a lot of that has to do with Kurt Roper and the new offense that's being installed.
You mentioned the quarterback position. As the Noles starting quarterback steals crab legs, the Gators signal caller gets healthy. How much of a factor do you think Jeff Driscoll's injury in 2013 played into the Gators' demise?
It was a very big factor. First and foremost, just from the leadership standpoint, he was the unquestioned leader of that offense. And then secondly, the depth behind Jeff really wasn't great. The biggest blow to that was Jacoby Brissett transferring at the end of the 2012 season. So that left 2-star recruit Tyler Murphy, and he gets injured at the midway point of the season. And then at that point, South Carolina, you're giving the starting job to redshirt freshman Skylar Morningweg. So really just the depth wasn't there, and he was a leader. And then following Jeff's injury, we kind of saw a domino effect of injuries. 2 offensive linemen were out for the year, and then we saw running back Matt Jones go down LSU week. So first and foremost, the leadership aspect, and then it just really went downhill from there.
Many that follow college football closely believe head coach Will Muschamp may be on the hottest seat of any coach starting the season. Is that fair in your opinion?
Absolutely. When you're coaching at a perennial power like Florida, 4 wins is completely inexcusable. And Will Muschamp knows that. And one guy who also knows that is athletic director Jeremy Foley. But the good news for Muschamp is Foley is giving him another year. The feeling following the 2013 season, it was really not really a question of whether Muschamp would come back. He has a chance to turn this thing around, and we'll see. They've got a tough schedule ahead of them. But, he is on the hottest seat, but he's not making any excuses, and he has full confidence that they're going to turn it around, so that's good news for Florida fans.
From what you've heard and seen this spring and into this summer, what do you think the Gators are going to do best in 2014?
I think offensively they're going to run the ball really well. This is one of the deepest running back cores Muschamp has had since he's been in Gainesville. I think the starting job is going to go to sophomore Kelvin Taylor. He racked up over 500 yards rushing last year, and that was his true freshman season. Then you get senior Mac Brown returning, who was the team-leading rusher last year, and you finally get back Matt Jones healthy. We really haven't seen him healthy at all since his true freshman year. Last season, he had a weird viral infection that kept him out for most of fall camp in the first game of the season. And then, of course, the LSU week, he went down with a torn meniscus. And then I think Jeff Driscoll running the football is going to be key for their success. I watched him in spring practice running the football from the shotgun as opposed to under center where he's been in the past. He looks a lot more comfortable and confident, and it's more easy for him to make those throws on the run in the shotgun as opposed to, under center where he has been. I think defensively, simply, it's just going to be keeping opposing offenses off the field. This defense has a loaded front 7 and one of the best secondaries in the country, led by cornerback Vernon Hargreaves. There's no question. This is a national championship defense. So if you can keep the opposing offense off the field, control time of possession, that's going to be key for Florida to win some games.
Now let's flip it 180 degrees. Is there something that could lead to another 4-8 season for the Gators?
I honestly don't see this happening unless the one thing could be if they get another unfortunate stroke of bad luck with the injuries. I'm giving them, 5 gimme wins. They've got Idaho, Eastern Michigan, Kentucky. I don't see them losing to Vanderbilt again, and then they play Eastern Kentucky at the end of the year. So I really don't see that happening. Last season was, you can call it a fluke and just really bad luck. I personally don't see it happening.
A&M and Florida played in the Aggies' first conference game in school history, but the two schools won't play this year. For Aggie fans that haven't been, can you describe what a game day atmosphere at the Swamp is like?
Well, perhaps I'm a little biased because I grew up going to games in Gainesville, and I've been covering the team for 4 years, but really it's incredible. When you're in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium for a primetime SEC matchup and there's 90,000 people around you doing the Gator Chomp right before kickoff, you are experiencing full body chills at that moment. So if Ben Hill Griffin Stadium isn't on your bucket list for games, go to it before you miss it.
Now, trip to Gainesville, you mentioned the fans. Are they all in jorts? We need to stop this before it goes any further. You can tell us.
There's a good number of fans in jorts. I'll give you that as a forewarning.
All right. Since we've got that out there, this season's schedule is no easy task. At Alabama, Tennessee, Vandy, and Florida State, hosting LSU, Mizzou, Georgia, and South Carolina. But no Georgia Southern this season. What's a likely finish record-wise for this year's Florida team? You mentioned the 5 gimme wins.
I'm going to say realistically 7 or 8 wins because, like you said, the schedule pretty much from week 4 to the end of the year is brutal. Week 4, they go to at Alabama in Tuscaloosa. I'm already chalking that up as a loss. I think there's too much talent on both sides of the ball in that Bama team. They get a bye. They go at Tennessee, which I don't think is going to be, a easy victory for Florida. I don't even know if it's a for sure victory because that Tennessee team last year, they beat South Carolina. They forced a very good Georgia team into overtime. So that to me is Florida's trap game. Then, of course, they got LSU, followed immediately by Missouri. They go to Jacksonville for that Georgia game. And then they finish out the season South Carolina, Eastern Kentucky, and then Florida State. It's brutal. So realistically, I'm going to say 7 or 8 wins. I think the most wins Florida can pull out is 9 wins.
All right, we'll keep that down. Morgan, thank you for Skyping in.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
We now go over to Chris Costa.